Unmute.
Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
I had a question related to tag.
Okay.
So I was trying to understand the argument in terms of premises, and I'll just recite it, and you can correct me if I'm getting it correctly.
Okay.
So, premise one would be the existence of knowledge requires a certain kind of coherence in your metaphysics. Premise two would be the Christian metaphysics is sufficient for that coherence and by construction is unique. And then, so the argument would be knowledge exists, therefore the Christian metaphysics is true.
It goes down that line of argumentation, but I wouldn't necessarily immediately bring in metaphysics. I mean, you could keep the argument just in the domain of epistemology if you wanted to, but sure.
All right. But so I guess what I was confused about was for the uniqueness in like the second premise, would coherence be enough, or would
we had this conversation the last time that you called in, and I told you that coherence is not the totality of the argument. We already went through all this. You apparently didn't listen to any of that, and you came back with the exact same question. So, what's up, man? Yeah, what's up?
Hey, what's up, Jay? So, I've been inquiring into orthodoxy. I'm pretty convinced at this point, but I have a question that I've been kind of using as a test case for the internal consistency. And so I've been looking at Nicaea 2, which I used to have a problem with, but after reading the council itself, and not the abridged version, but the full version, I just want to see if I understand the Orthodox view of how to interpret ecumenical councils correctly. So first of all, with icons specifically, if I understand Nicaea 2 correctly, it is saying that whenever you venerate an icon, you are only passing honor to the prototype that the icon represents. You never pass latria, even if it's an icon of Christ. You're offering latria to Christ, but it's unmediated by the icon. Am I understanding that correctly?
I think that's correct.
Okay, so if that's true, if latria can be offered to Christ just through prayer, how do Protestants not offer latria to Christ in their, churches or prayer services or whatever you want to call them?
I don't understand the question. I mean, they perceive that they do.
But if I can venerate an icon and I, privately or whatever, in church, if I'm offering latria to Christ, I'm offering this worship of the highest kind. Couldn't Protestants do that independently without being in the church and just praying on their own?
Well, we have to worship God the way he directs to be worshipped. So that means being worshipped in the liturgy that he laid down. And Protestants do not worship God the way that he demanded they be worshipped. For example, God laid down that there be an altar with a Eucharist, and no Protestant has an altar with a Eucharist.
And that's my understanding of what it means to actually worship in a specific sense.
No, that is the only way to understand it. It's not your understanding or that's the teaching of the church. So we can't relativize this and say, well, that's our understanding, but it's not the Protestant understanding. It doesn't matter what the Protestant understanding is.
Yeah, I don't mean that.
So again, I'm not trying to be rude, but can you explain? I don't understand your question. You're asking, can they offer latria to Christ without icons? Well, yes, we can, but the problem is that to be anti-icon is ultimately an attack on the incarnation. That's the problem.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to reject icons. I mean, I used to have a problem with them, but after reading Nicaea 2's justification for it, I'm convinced of it now. Mm-hmm. But now I'm just confused at what specifically latria means.
It means worship. It means the worship due to God. Right? So I honor my parents. I don't honor my parents to the same degree as I honor God. So there's a deference to authority, but God is in a special category because he's the ultimate authority. He's the uncreated God. He gets the full worship of latria due to him as our creator, right? So I honor God, but I also honor the king, and I also honor my parents. I don't honor them all with the same degree of honor.
So there's different, I'm just going to...
Yes, there's difference. That's the difference between latria
that you can offer to Christ.
There's difference. Say what?
Are there different tiers or different degrees?
No, Christ is God. So
Christ
is God. Christ gets the worship that's due to God.
Even if it's impartial. I mean, I guess I'm trying to understand if I can venerate an icon outside of a liturgical context,
mm-hmm.
and I am offering latria to Christ directly, how could a Protestant not do that if they're just praying on their own?
Again, the question doesn't make sense. I don't get it. The fact that they believe that they're doing that has nothing to do with whether or not it's worshiping God the right way. So it's almost like you're making the worship all subjective, like it's just from our perspective. If we're sincere and we have worship of Christ, well, that's great. I'm glad that you're sincere, but again, we have to worship God the way he lays down, not the way that we subjectively want it to be. So again, help me understand. I don't understand what your objection even is. I'm not being a dick. I really just don't understand.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I guess, so if latria is offered to Christ just through the liturgy, how can venerating an icon...
No, it's not just through the liturgy. We worship Christ in many ways, but the culmination of worship is the divine liturgy. So to say, well, I'm not going to go to the divine liturgy or believe any of that stuff, but I will have an icon at home, or I will honor Jesus through the Bible. It's an inconsistent position. You can't have it both ways. You don't get to make up how you worship or honor Christ. I mean, that'd be like saying, well, why can't I make up my own liturgy in the basement and still honor Christ, even though it's not at the Orthodox Church? I'm doing it my way. Well, for example, in Orthodox canon law, you can't offer the Eucharist unless an Orthodox bishop gives you permission to do so. So it's not just a matter of your intention. You have to do it the way God says to do it.
Okay. I guess I'll have to think about it more.
Are you asking, are you just simply asking, can Protestants legitimately worship Christ without icons? Is that what you're asking?
Well, I'm asking if Protestants can legitimately worship Christ at all.
I mean, again, we judge these things on the basis of the public confession. We don't judge individuals' hearts. We don't know that. We don't have access to that. At the end of the world, God's going to judge people's motives in their hearts. We don't know that. All we can say is that the public profession of Protestantism as a belief system is false, and therefore it does not offer acceptable worship to God. You notice Paul says, offered to God acceptable sacrifice and worship, not just anything. If you think about Cain and Abel, right? Both of them offered to God, but did God accept Cain's offer?
No, it didn't.
Right. So you can't do it your own way. If you look at Nadab and Abihu, they offered their own liturgical celebration in Leviticus, I think 11. Did God accept Nadab and Abihu's made up incense offering?
No.
Right. So we have to worship God the way he wants to be worshiped. And the fact that you can have a private devotion doesn't cancel out the duty that you have to the corporate public worship. But that's a great question. Irishman, what's up?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, so I am a King James Bible believing Christian, and feel that the Catholic Church and Orthodoxy is completely apostate. So I was talking with Andrew Wilson a couple nights ago, and he mentioned or claimed that the Catholic Church is responsible for the Bible. And I mean, I don't know where people get that nonsense.
Okay, who do you think collected those books together into the Bible?
Well, all of the like Textus Receptus manuscripts.
Who do you think had the Textus Receptus before King James?
Pardon me?
Who had the received text before the King James?
Well, I mean, as far as
What tradition, what lineage had the received text? Do you know?
Yeah, they were all in Antioch, is where all of those manuscripts wound up.
It's the ecumenical patriarchal text. It's the Orthodox Patriarch's text. So you didn't even know that? So we preserved the thing that you think is the infallible Word of God for the New Testament, right? You didn't know that?
The Catholic Church did?
The Orthodox Church.
Okay, so, but, well, maybe I'm not clear on what you mean when you say the Orthodox
The received
Church.
text,
So
okay, is the Orthodox patriarchal text. The Patriarch of Constantinople, for example, in the year 1000, that's who was using and preserving that received text that you think King James put into English. Did you know that?
Well, I mean, I know that Darius Erasmus is who...
You don't even know what I'm talking about. It's called the Byzantine text. You don't know that? So you have no idea what you're talking about.
I do have an idea of what I'm
No,
talking
you don't, because you're talking about Erasmus, which is this is like the Enlightenment Reformation period. I'm talking about the 1100s, the 900s.
Sure. So, but this is where I'm saying that the
I can't do it. I can't do it, man. This is too stupid. I'm sorry, I can't do it. You have no idea what you're talking about.
Hello. I'm calling in from Australia. Can you hear me all right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I wanted to discuss atheism, and you got that in the title, so I thought I'd pop in. I'm not an atheist, but I've been listening to a lot of debates online, including yours, and the arguments for Christianity seem dumb most of the time, but maybe I'm the dumb one. So I'm going to pretend to be an atheist to see if I am the dumb one. So
Okay.
my opening statement would be something about God being a human invention, I guess.
Okay. Would you say that you are relying on logic and reasoning instead of, revelation or something like that? Is that why you would say that it's irrational?
Revelation.
In other words,
Yes,
Christians rely on revelation, and would you say that you're arguing from the standpoint of rationality and logic?
Yes, I'm presupposing those things. Yeah.
Okay. And what is logic?
Kind of everyone knows what it is, but can't really define it.
You think that's a good thing to rest your argument on? Just saying, well, everybody knows what it is. There's no definition.
Well, I mean, everyone knows what a tree is, but nobody can
You don't think
exactly define what a tree is.
You don't think we can define what a tree is?
Well, I mean, what? Okay, maybe a better example is, what's a chair? Like, is a rock a chair? You can sit on it, right?
Well, the fact that there's ambiguity in some words doesn't mean that we can't define any objects in the world. So, but I mean, this is even worse for your case, because your argument against theism is now resting on something that you admit can't really be defined. So what if I say, okay, well, God's existence is also like that. We can't really define God, but everybody knows there is a God.
Well,
if you admit that that's a bad line of argument, then you're admitting your line of argument's bad. All right, look, man, appreciate it. Think about it. Come back. We'll talk to you again next time.